This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, there he is. I'm sorry, were you there long?
I don't know, maybe 5 minutes or so.
I'm sorry, bro. I apologize.
All good.
I apologize.
All good. You were deep into your chat, your chat, so I got it. I had to text Sean. I was like, I'm ready whenever you are.
This is why I can be a talk show host, because I talk a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So I can just talk shit forever, and I can just keep going and going and going. And sometimes you have to stop me. And so thank you for stopping me there, Sean. Appreciate it. My bad. Because I'm just looking. I sometimes don't look to the right, because if I'm not talking to somebody, because this is my live part. So you're here, like I've got you here on my iPad, but the iPad's delayed. So I have to look at the computer, which is the live one, because sometimes what I'm doing is I'm looking at the camera so I can talk to the people. You know what I mean? So that I don't look to the right. And when I don't look to the right and it's the bottom of the hour and I'm like, holy shit. So my bad, man. I'm sorry. Apologies there. All right. So you into the playoffs? Your Sixers are doing all right.
Yeah. I'm cautiously optimistic. I told you before, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. We're supposed to beat the Nets. But it does look good the way they're playing. Embiid didn't have a big number day, and they still won by double digits. They're shooting the three well. They're playing defense. And so, I'm cautiously optimistic. And I will tell you, for this first round, I am very much a Heat fan. I'd love for the Heat to pull the upset and get the Bucks out of there. I mean, we're just one win in, but I was joking with my Heat buddies. I was hoping for the Celtics, and they lost the play-in game, and so now it's the Bucks. Get one of those guys out of the way for us, and that's all I asked for. So
you kidnapping Giannis for tomorrow, because he's going to play tomorrow.
Yeah,
he's going to play tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe the back will be a little stiff. I don't know.
Some tells me it'll be nice and loose after a trainer meets with him. I'm just going to take a wild guess.
Yeah, Giannis is probably going for 40 a 40-point triple double. What is it? Tonight they play?
No, tomorrow night.
Yeah, so
that's actually the break for him. He gets 2 days to get that treatment. So that's actually huge for him. Huge for Miami too, because with Jimmy Butler, he gets a couple of days off too, and he's got to do a lot of the heavy lifting, obviously. And so that's also really good for Miami that Jimmy gets 2 days, to rest and all of that. I was going to get into the Draymond Green stuff. I mean, that dude never learns, bro.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Come on, man.
So what's your take here? Are you thinking it's all Draymond's fault here for this? I will say he did grab Draymond's foot.
Okay. So yank your foot off of his hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't stomp on the guy. Don't add to it, bro.
I get you. And I think Draymond does not get
the idea is, bro, everybody knows that you're easily wound up, right? So why do you give in?
That's the point here. Like, Draymond does not get a benefit of the doubt because of all the stuff that he's done. Like, he has a history of agitating and doing these type of things. So, he said he had nowhere else to land and he had his foot there. If it was somebody else, maybe we might believe him a little bit more. But since it's Draymond, it's like, no, you intentionally
You have no credibility. Right.
And so it didn't help. They were losing. They've lost 2 straight games to the Kings, who, by the way, the Kings have been
better.
Wow. Marcel, I don't know if you guys know, is a big Kings fan. He grew up in the Sacramento area. And so if I've been able to stay up, which I did not finish the game last night, I'm not going to lie, I fell asleep in the fourth quarter. But the first game, I stayed up for it.
Your father, bro.
Yes. I try my best, but, I'm getting old, man. I was texting him because he's pumped about it. And for Kings, we were talking about this last episode. It's been 20 years since they've had some success, and they draw the Golden State Warriors, the defending champs, in the first round, and you're like, oh, there it is. That's the end. They're gonna get them out of there, and it's not over yet, but up 2-0. That's pretty impressive. And you got Draymond all heated, and it's a fun playoff so far.
So how was Cabo?
It was great. It was great.
How was the party? Because it was like a B-day get together, right?
Yeah. It was a blast. I had my wife planned it all. She had my friends come out there, some of my friends from college days, and their significant others, and we stayed at a nice resort. We did a lot of drinking, a lot of time on the water. We got a yacht, went out there on the water, hit a club one night, just kind of explored. Had my parents bring my daughter out to a separate villa for a couple days too. So they surprised me. It was all a whole surprise week. And so, yeah, man, it was an amazing time. Probably one of the best trips I've ever had. You only turn 30 once. And so, I lived it up. And so it took me probably 2-3 days to get back into the flow of actual life. But man, I'm back in it now.
As time rolls on, you're going to want to turn 30 again and again and again.
Yeah.
Trust me. Yeah. When you said that, I go, damn, that was 26 years ago. Would I love to be 30 again?
Right. Yes, absolutely.
You just turned 30 and you got to add a quarter century to catch up to my ass.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's damn, bro. Damn. All right.
Hey, life goes quickly, man. It's crazy. Like I know it's all perspective, but when I was in this industry, I started this 22 years old, and I got a lot of joy about being like one of the youngest dudes in the locker room. I was the same age as everybody in the rookie class of whatever team I was covering. It was the Broncos at that time. And even as I got older, I was still one of the youngest guys. Now I'm at 30. I'm probably going to walk into locker rooms, and there's probably only like 3, 4, 5 dudes in there that are my age or older. It's a young league. And so my worry constantly, and I try to do my best, is I don't want to let it pass me by where it's the previous culture. I'm talking about the young heads instead of me being one of those guys. So I'm holding on to that as long as I can, but probably another 2-3 years, they're going to be looking at me and saying, sir, and mister, and that's going to make me feel some type of way.
Try doing a talk show.
Yeah.
After decade and trying to stay up with all the crap that goes on. And then you have to stay up with references too. Yeah. Because as the references get older, you tune out the younger people because they haven't watched this movie or that scene, or they don't know this about history or whatever. And so you use it as a joke, as a reference, and they're like, what's he talking about? That kind of shit. I can't, if I talk about somebody that gets stoned, I can't say Spicoli anymore because not everybody has seen Fast Times at Richmond High. So I have to say Wiz Khalifa or Snoop Dogg. You know what I mean? Like a fresh one is Wiz, a 90s one is Snoop, and an 80s one is Spicoli. So I have to update my stoner reference as I get older and find who's the fresh face of modern stoners. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so there you go.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I feel like it's probably still Wiz. There's probably there's other new ones. Like the next generation is probably going to have a new guy. But to me, Wiz is who I grew up as the quote unquote stoner of our generation. And I feel like he probably still is that guy, at least in pop music culture. Yeah.
Right. In entertainment, it's Seth Rogen.
Yes. Yep.
Because
he's made several movies. He's made several movies about it. And so, yes.
Dude, he has his own bong.
Right. That.
Do you know that? Do you know that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know that. No, I didn't. I didn't know, I think I watched one of his movies that's supposedly based on real life where he's talking about him and his fascination with weed and just kind of how he's in that industry. And so I knew he was in the industry. I didn't know he had his own bong.
Oh, yeah. It's like a $600 bong. It's made in Germany.
Wow.
Okay. And so I know because West Pines, it was one of my sponsors, and they have it there and they sell it. Yeah. And so Wiz and Seth are like the modern day guys that I would like. Yeah. If I'm referencing somebody younger and hip, I'm going to use Wiz. If I'm representing somebody maybe more white, I'll use
I got you.
You know what I mean? You got to cater to your audience, dude. You know what I'm saying? So that way it's like, if I use the Spicoli line, I lose everybody. You only know Spicoli because you took a moment to watch Fast Times at Richmond High. So now you know the ultimate 80s stoner, which is, Sean Penn.
Right.
By the way, Woody Harrelson would be the other one that we could. I think everybody kind of knows he's very open, has his own dispensary and everything in Los Angeles. I don't know if you know that, but he does. Yeah. Snoop has his own service and everything. They deliver weed in California.
I did not know this. I'm not in tune with a lot of this. Maybe this is my age showing and me being a father.
Yeah, you're just not a talk show host.
Gotcha.
That's all.
Yeah.
You don't need to know this. See, I just kind of like, there's so much stupid information in here that I just, it just comes out no matter what. Somebody will say something and, okay, yeah, kind of, because I'm just keeping up with everything going on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy stuff. So you were the chosen one over in Cabo. What do you think about the Dolphins with their chosen one?
That's good. It took me a half a second, but I got the reference. Again, I think that was very interesting, right? Because like the Dolphins have had a history over the last, really since Greer took over the role himself without Tannenbaum there, of taking a chance on maybe some low risk. I would say low risk because of the money.
The Cincinnati running back.
Yeah, and high reward potentially. That Robert Nkemdiche was in here. A lot of guys who didn't work out. Robert Nkemdiche, Isaiah Taylor or Johnson, whatever the offensive lineman was from Georgia, who lasted like 2 days. They took the running back, Mark Walton. Who was in here for a little bit. A lot of these guys coming in on minimum contracts who have had promise, whether they're draft selection or they've had previous success, and you say, hey, if it works, great. If it doesn't, we'll cut bait with them. And they're hoping that this is going to be similar because Robbie Anderson was a borderline Pro Bowl player, 2-3 years ago. This is a guy that was, with the Jets, with the Panthers, and, just kind of doing a lot, the Jets, then the Panthers, doing a lot of production, his speed, his size, and really the last couple of years, his stats have dramatically decreased. But the good thing about him is if he does make the team, and I don't know if it's necessarily a lock that he makes a team, it's a deep roster of group. You got Braxton Berrios, you got Cedric Wilson, you got Eric Uzukama, and then you got River Craycraft now. So that's 6 dudes potentially.
Four guys that I don't think get cut.
Yeah, exactly. And so are you keeping 7 receivers? A lot of people say get rid of Cedric Wilson. Well, he's got guaranteed money on his contract. And so if you can find somebody to trade for him, yes. But are you just going to dump the money you already paid? That's not something that teams usually do. And so, that's why I said
Cedric Wilson is a character player. Yeah, like he's a good dude, bro.
Right. And he didn't live up to his contract, but he is a guy who's a potential bounce back guy. And he fits, like you said, he's a blocker. He fits a lot of what you want to do. And so let's just put it out there. There's no guarantee that Chosen makes the roster. But if he bounces back on what he is, he provides you another speed threat that's going to get one-on-one coverage. Everybody that's not named Tyreek and Jaylen Waddle is going to get one-on-one favorable coverage. You're going to be on the 3rd or 4th best DB on that team, maybe even the 5th best DB on that team. So there's an opportunity for a lot of people to eat in their matchups. And so if Chosen ends up making the roster and carving out a role, then it could add even more speed to what's probably the fastest offense in the NFL. And so I'm intrigued by the possibility, but I also think that fans probably should have a little bit reasonable expectations as far as what his impact will be.
Well, listen, for me, Robbie Anderson, you can, if you want to agree with me or disagree with me, that's fine. 2 things here, Robbie Anderson is. He's one, either a favor to somebody in the personnel department, whoever his agent, I don't know who his agent is, but maybe the agent called and said, hey, man, give my guy a chance. And he's either a favor or 2, he's just an insurance policy. The insurance policy that if you trade Cedric Wilson in the draft that's upcoming, the insurance policy that if you do trade Cedric Wilson leading up to the regular season because another team had an injury and needs a wide receiver. So now if Robbie screws his head on right and he's competing, now he can compete for the slot that's left open by a traded Cedric Wilson. Or there's unfortunate injuries. Things happen in football. And if you have a couple of receivers go down, then if Robbie again has his head screwed on right and is playing well, then he might be able to compete for one of those open spots. But I think he's either a favor or no more than an insurance policy for what you currently have on the roster. Is that the way you look at it too?
I do. You need depth. You need a guy who, like you said, you got a guy in Cedric who had a season where it wasn't great last year. Maybe you get an offer from Dallas. Maybe you get an offer from someone that makes you decide to get rid of him on draft day. But I think right now we're going through the assumption that he's going to be there in the roster in training camp. Probably. Guys get hurt. If you lose a guy, an injury, if you lose a guy because he's really struggling, then you got a guy like Chosen Anderson, Robbie Anderson, whatever you choose to call him, that is there. And so I think you're right. It's sort of a little bit of a safety valve. He can back up both Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. You know, God forbid something happened to them. He plays that speed game like they do. He gives you another option inside as well. If for whatever reason Eric Uzukama does not advance and he still cannot get on the field, then that gives you other depth there. And you know, same for Braxton and River Craycraft. And so I look at it as more of a luxury. Hey, he's not making much money. He gets to be home. He's a Florida native. And so that's what he wanted to do. And, you know, you come back here and maybe it works. You can bounce back and have, you know, a sort of a part-time role here on the offense. Or the Dolphins move on and, you know, that may be the end of Robbie Chosen Anderson. You know, We'll see.
We'll see. I get it, dude. It's the off season. We got to fill time. We got to fill space. To me, the Dalvin Cook stuff, I think the Dolphins are dead set at running back. I don't think they really want to make a move at all. I don't think they're going to pay any money. I don't think they're going to trade anything. And if Dalvin Cook gets released and he's looking for money, he ain't going to find it in Miami. Now, if he wants to take a hometown discount and be low-hanging fruit for Chris Greer, then I think you might be able to see a Dalvin Cook here. To me, that's the only way it happens. To me, I would tell the Dolphin Nation out there will be no trade. There will be no big contracts. There will be nothing for Dalvin Cook. If Dalvin Cook wants to sign here for lesser money, but if he's looking to replace whatever money he loses after he gets cut in Minnesota, he's not going to find it here. And that's what I say to Dolphin fans out there. So if he wants to give the Dolphins a hometown discount, then I think Chris Greer would go for the low-hanging fruit. But that's exactly what Chris Greer is searching for, low-hanging fruit. Not, oh, it's another Miami guy. We've got to do everything to sign him, says Dolphin fan. Your thoughts?
I think that Dalvin Cook, probably like most people who are from Miami, would love to play in Miami, but he's currently a Viking. And I think what you're seeing right now is teams trying to figure out the running back contract landscape. We had similar conversations earlier this offseason with Derrick Henry, right? These are guys making $12, $13 million when people say that running backs don't matter and they're not worth that value overall. And so teams
and he wants a new deal.
Yes, exactly. He wants a new deal with guarantees. The team's probably like, you're making more than most running backs, so you should either be happy or, even worse, take a pay cut. And, you know, that doesn't receive well for a guy who's been a top 5 running back over the last 3 or 4 years. And so people always think the grass is greener on the other side, but I'll tell you what, I don't think the Dolphins are paying, you know, 13, 14, 15 million dollars with multiple years guaranteed on a Dalvin Cook at this point. And so I don't know what his mindset is. And I obviously, due to the fact that deal's not done, they're not going to pay the Vikings, you know, significant compensation to get Dalvin Cook. And so it's a little bit of a waiting game. If for whatever reason the Vikings do release him, I'm sure the Dolphins will make a call and see what it works.
But you agree with me. They'll make a call.
Yeah.
But it'll be a call that they're not going to be rolling out the red carpet.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think they say, okay, 2 years, $30 million,
right,
all 30 guaranteed. You're good to go. we got our running back. I'm sure Cook would love that. That's probably his mind. I'd love to get $15 million a year, get a fully guaranteed. I just don't see that happening. One, the Dolphins typically have not invested much in that running back position. They brought back Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson all on deals under $3 million a year each. And, they have a system that they believed in for a while. They haven't drafted.
They all excelled in that system.
And so, yes, you could get a Cook. And to be honest, they went out of it slightly one or two times. They've signed a Chase Edmonds for a $6 million deal. That didn't work out. Who was the kid they signed the year before that didn't work out? The bigger back. He was a bigger back.
Oh, the Howard.
Yes, Jordan Howard, same thing. They invested in the running back there. Didn't really work out. And so I think they're a little, Cook's a different level than those dudes, of course. But I don't think they would invest that sort of capital on a player, especially guaranteed capital. And so release, yes, keep an eye on, but I don't think this is going to be something where the Dolphins are going all in for a Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, just to me, that's the part that I just don't look at it. All right. Who's the tight end or two that you think the Dolphins should target in the second or third round?
Good question. So here's
homework in that area.
Yeah. Here's what I say. They've definitely been doing their homework in the tight end market, but I wouldn't assume, and I heard you talking about this to start, I wouldn't assume that they're going to take a tight end on day two. I think us as fans, you look at the holes on their teams, right? Like we're all NFL fans. You guys, Dolphins fans, you study your team. Where do we have holes? And one of the big holes, tight end, right? Is Durham Smythe really going to be our guy? But I don't know. The team may view that position differently. They may say, hey, we're going to put less value on the receiving portion of this role, focus on having a really good blocker that can at least keep defenses honest, and maybe continue to develop the guys we have younger wise. Maybe they draft a guy in the later rounds. But if you're asking me, okay, if they are taking a tight end in the second or third round, just looking at guys that maybe fit what's in their philosophy. They've spent some time doing homework on Brenton Strange from Penn State. He's a kid who's probably going to be a third-round pick, a guy that's probably not mentioned a ton on the top of the tight end guys like Darnell Washington or, Sam Laporta or, Luke Musgrave, Dalton Kincaid. I think you've mentioned Tucker Kraft a bit here. These are all guys that are considered maybe top 4 or 5 tight ends in the class. But I would keep an eye out on the Penn State kid too as well, Brenton Strange. And so those would be probably the 5 or 6 names that would make a lot of sense in the second or third round. But it's a very deep tight end class, and so if they don't hit on one early, they could always come back later and get another guy to develop.
What are you working on the NFL Network so folks can check you out?
Yeah, I'm actually going to be on TV the next 3 days, today, tomorrow, and Thursday, talking draft. And so the Panthers, who are the number 1 pick, have a pre-draft talk with their GM. It's smokescreen season, so we'll see how they dance around that. And so I'll be doing that and talking some Panthers on TV. I'm working on a feature on Anthony Richardson. I spent a couple days with him in Jacksonville, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about that.
What are these reports? Some of these idiots have Will Levis and the other kid moving in front of CJ Stroud.
I don't know, man. That's the thing about the draft. That's crazy. You never know. Like some of these things are smoke screens and they're fake, and then some of these things are real. So who knows? This draft is going to be fun. From what I understand, talking to scouts, there's not a lot of elite talent once you get past that 10, 12 range. And so they're expecting a lot more surprises. Guys trading up, guys getting picked who may be second or third round grades on most of the public's board, getting taken in the top 15, top 20. And so it should be interesting, but I'll be talking about that today. Tomorrow, the Dolphins management talks, Greer and McDaniel will be having their pre-draft press conferences. So I'll be up at the facility.
Actually, Marvin Allen.
Marvin Allen. You're right. Greer and Marvin Allen, not McDaniel. Yeah. You're right. So we'll hear it from Marvin Allen, which I don't think he's done much of that, if at all, publicly since he's been here. And so
he's a stud, bro.
Yeah, really good evaluator, a lot of well respected throughout league circles. And, a guy that, especially as the Dolphins have more success, they're going to be lucky if they get to keep him, for very long.
Mackenzie had no reason to be fired in Oakland.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. At all.
Yeah.
That was just fucking stupid what they did there in Oakland, because they were in Oakland then at that time. That guy took over his first 2 years. He didn't have a first and a second rounder because they had traded for Carson Palmer. So his first 2 years, he was missing 2 of his top picks.
Right.
And he still found you a quarterback and Khalil Mack, got you to the playoffs. They were headed in the right direction. Marvin Allen has helped the Falcons and has helped the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm telling you, dude, the Dolphins have one of the best front offices in the NFL.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those guys are freaking awesome.
Yeah, they got some depth there, and
those 2 guys will get somebody. I know they're black, so we don't treat the black candidate the same way as a damn white candidate. And it takes them forever to get noticed or get an opportunity, or they have such a short leash, like what they did to McKenzie, that it's a bunch of bullshit. But eventually, I hope people, I mean, I don't really want the Dolphins to lose him, but McKenzie's really good people, and so is Marvin Allen. And those men deserve an opportunity to be their own general managers, one day. McKenzie deserves another shot, and Marvin Allen deserves a shot that he's never had.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's going to suck for Miami, but I'm telling you, that's why when I saw that Greer brought those guys over, I was like, and I've known those guys. So that's like, I was like, wow, Greer's not effing around, bro. And he does the same thing McDaniel does, which again, people don't really understand this. It's egoless decisions. He's not getting people that are lesser than him, that he's got to train them and teach them like Belichick does with his coaches and all that kind of shit, or that like the way Flo was trying to do things here. He didn't want, experienced coaches around him. He didn't want, stars around him. He kind of wanted to keep everybody under him. McDaniel's not like that. He'll bring an older coach, a guy that's, and Chris Greer, the same thing. He wasn't intimidated by the fact that Reggie McKenzie kicked ass in Oakland, and he brought him over. And Marvin Allen, everybody that follows football, those of us that are in the biz and we follow the personnel side, all of us know Marvin Allen. Mm-hmm. We all know what a badass he is. But of course, minority, it is the same old fucking story, and they don't get the same, deal that everybody else should get. And so, it's a shame. But this is why when he put them together, I kept telling everybody, this will be one of the best front offices in the NFL. And they're proving that. I believe they're proving that, but that's just me. Do you believe the Dolphins have one of the best front offices in the NFL?
I feel like they have definitely the depth. The depth there is incredible, especially towards the top. I think that, like you mentioned, Marvin Allen, Reggie McKenzie, some of the guys they have sort of in secondary, third, fourth roles could certainly run their own team. And so I think they spread their wings very wide as far as finding draft talent. And, they've found some gems, particularly when you go into day 2, day 3, an undrafted pool recently. And so this will be another one. A lot of times they've had a lot of first round picks recently. These next couple of years challenged them a little bit more because no first round pick. But second, third day is when you can make a lot of noise. And so I'm eager to see what they do this year.
Yeah, good stuff. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolfe and catch his work there at the NFL Network. Cam, as always, thank you, my friend. We'll catch up later in the week.
Sounds good.
All right. There you go. The Wolf Pack has been unleashed. And when we talk about KSDT CPA, folks, hey, it's tax time. We just passed the deadline. If you didn't file your taxes and you're scrambling right now, there's the QR code right there. Get your QR code. Reach out to the people at KSDT CPAs, wherever you're at. It doesn't matter where you're at. Anywhere in the country, you could just call them if you want. It doesn't have to be here only in South Florida, not only in Florida. They've got offices all throughout Florida, all throughout South Florida, and they're going to open up an office in North Carolina. So this company is a great, great sponsor of ours, man. So please support the people that support us. You got to do your taxes. And they've got a crypto department too. So if you're investing in crypto, you want professionals handling your taxes to make sure you're doing things the right way. KSDT CPA. You can find them on Twitter. You can go online at ksdtcpa.com and check out that QR code and get your taxes done. And we thank Cameron Wolfe.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.